Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zappy here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We're on episode 111, and you can probably tell that I look like absolute shit right now, and the patrons might know why, because I will be dating this episode and saying that it was recorded a few days after Christmas 2019. That is for obviously all of the people that only watch this on YouTube for the general public. That was when this episode was put up, was then. So you can probably guess how festive the celebrations were if I'm still feeling like shit a few days afterwards, but I'm in a good enough state to be able to record, so that's what we're doing. Anyway, 100 in episode 11. Yes, 111. Jesus Christ. Anyway, yeah. So in the last couple episodes, they've both ended roughly the same way, of me thinking, this is it, we're in, we're going, the mission starts. And they both ended that way. So I was basically cock-blocked for that. For episode 109 and 10, but there is no excuse this time. If this episode ends the same way, I'm gonna be so annoyed. For fuck's sake, can we just get this mission started, please? Other than that, I don't think there's anything else to really say. I mean, Palm's still out there somewhere. Akalgo has got the mission to kind of look for her. He's taken over Flutter, which is definitely interesting. So I'm sure that'll come into play at some point. You'll have to sort of like act like Flutter and whatever, and yeah, we'll see what is up with that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about, so we're just going to get straight into episode 111 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 111. Wow. I think without a doubt that's the best episode in the series so far. That was incredible. I had to fucking, because normally what I do is I react to the episode, and then I go back through and I sort of skim through the episode again to make sure that I've got everything that I want to talk about and everything like that. I actually didn't realize that the span of this episode takes place within maybe 20 seconds. That's nuts. That's so crazy. I mean, we all know what anime time is, where shit takes place. They can really slow down something to really squeeze every last inch of emotion, dialogue, anything that they can put into it. Anime tends to do that a lot, but the mixture of so little time passing, I suppose it did help with obviously the flashback and obviously going back and seeing that with Netero and everything like that. But I mean, that was good stuff as well. But with the narrator as well, basically doing all of the dialogue for this episode. I think the only people that had any dialogue really was, well, I guess you had in the flashback and with the sort of the head of the the martial arts place, and then Netero was obviously talking. But aside from that, you had Morel say go. You had Neferpito say quickly when she was trying to get down to the back down to the floor, and Shia just obviously calling after the king and charging towards him, of course. But it was just it was mad, because I think it completely flipped the script and how they were showing this episode. I feel like they were showing it from they were purposely showing it from the perspective of Neferpito, really. It's like showing it from the enemy's side, because Netero is such a fucking he's such a force that if you went into this sort of episode not knowing any of the characters and anything like that, or taking out any of the narrator's dialogue, just seeing it from Neferpito's point of view, this fucking this storm of arrows and a dragon coming out of the sky, just lighting up the sky like a storm coming, right? And then, it's just scary, And I think just the way that the way that this episode, like, it looked incredible. It really did. That was it was a real. I just love this episode. I really do. Like, and just seeing the difference of, especially between like Shia and Neferpito, because of course, but with Shia is what we've seen of sort of his little bit of like character development when we've seen him, and what he really wants is the best for the king. So of course he charges right in, right? Whereas Neferpito, first things first, is like, like she senses this like really powerful enemy and is like, I want to go fight it, and immediately goes for it. The king doesn't even come into like sort of like the equation. And this was something that was sort of noted a few episodes back when the king asked all of the different royal guards about what they thought about a certain thing. I think it was when he was asking about his name, right? And they were like, what do you think? And all of their different answers do equate to what their general relationship or how they see the king sort of, works, because they all see it sort of differently. And then you've got Yuppie, he's just kind of indifferent, and he doesn't, and it works because his character is kind of just out of the way, and he's like, Neferpito's end just, just left. It's not here anymore. And of course, I guess he wasn't going to move because that's where he was situated to be. But it's cool just to see them, like how all of them react, and especially seeing Neferpito in a state of shock for a change, because she has been so sort of untouchable, I suppose, considering the fact that she just took out Kite, and seemingly didn't have much trouble. It just seems like, like she's so overly confident in that regard. And I feel like that goes for all of the ants in particular anyway, because it's sort of the idea that they are born sort of like, they are born adults, like they're not babies and then they grow. It's more like their mind is something that like needs to sort of develop, and like the information that they get and everything, and the experiences, because they were born like just incredibly strong from the outset. It's so easy for them to come out and just feel like they can take on the world, I suppose. So that moment of like, it's like it's seeing the exact moment she experiences like true strength and something she can't overcome. And it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts now, because it's going to be completely different, I'd imagine. Because it's not going to be a case of her jumping straight back into the fight, I'd imagine. Like, I can't see... I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how she reacts to this one. Shia, I feel like he would just give his life for the king anyway. So I think regardless of what gets in his way, even if it's Netero, he's going to still try and move towards the king. Yuppie is going to be dealing with all of them lot, aside from Knuckle and Mello, who it does look like, just by the way they're animated, they haven't made it past him just yet, but you saw them like run up the side of the stairs, and obviously they're in that perfect plan mode, obviously to shoot on past, which shoot there, that wasn't unintentional. But yeah, speaking of shoot, there was a slight thing with shoot which I actually really liked. And it was right at the end of the episode, where, because he was the first one out, right? And he turned, and he immediately, when he saw Yuppie on the steps, one of his eyes like widened a bit. Now, whether that was out of shock, or the fact is that, deep down there's a bit of a cowardice within him, or whatever, like, whatever it is, that wasn't the bit that really stood out, because that would have possibly been, something you would have been able to tell. Of course, that's how he would act. But the fact that it was there for such a short period of time actually makes me respect him as a character a hell of a lot more, because he did not let that cloud any judgment or a hesitation or anything. Like, he immediately snapped back into serious mode, which I really like. You know, 'cause it's they've been building this up for quite a while now, and one of the things they keep coming back to is the fact that like this is it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a choice. We need to. This mission needs to be done, and it needs to be done in the most like sort of efficient, best way possible. Like, there's no room for mistakes or anything like that. So the fact is that, you know, he immediately just went back into serious mode, even knowing that that's what they're going to be up against. Yeah, that was really cool. So yeah, so they're not obviously going to get the sneak attack with Knuckle and Mello on Yuppie, even though I feel like they could do it. I feel like they really could do it, because, I mean, they were talking about, like, either last episode or the episode before. I think it was last episode. Mello was saying that, you know, he can hold his breath and do the perfect plan thing for about a minute, right? And then they have to come out of that, and then he needs to take a deep breath, do it again. So surely he would be able to do it, right? I guess they don't want to do it just in case it happens to Yuppie, and then Yuppie manages to get away and then warns the king, and therefore they can't do the sneak attack anymore. I guess that will probably be the reason why. I don't know, because I'm just thinking, like, what does Knuckle have ability-wise that makes him the best to do the sneak attack? Because I was thinking it was Gon. Like, it was set up that way when Mello was following Gon, and he saw the Jajang Ken move. Now, we saw Gon versus Knuckle before, and when Knuckle has seen that, like, sort of that ability, he was shocked by it. And I would think, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I would guess that charged up to, like, the maximum, Gon's Jajang Ken, one hit would be a harder hit than what Knuckle... the only thing I can really guess is that we haven't really seen anything that Knuckle can really use other than the tax thing that he uses, which I guess, yeah, would help. But again, like, I'm sure that only really helps against an opponent that is able to dish out more damage than him, though, right? And, you know, I like Knuckle, but one-on-one against the king, I don't think so. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But clearly, I mean, they've got something. They've got something up their sleeve, and it's going to be interesting to see if it does work out. I would hope so, because they have, you know, they've planted the perfect plan seed. It's just a case of, like, it could... I don't know. I feel like they'll get the hit off, but it won't do as much as they think it's going to do. That's my guess anyway. So yeah, they went straight past. So Netero is 110 years old. I'm gonna have to think of that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I need to check just who that guy's name. I'm sure it's Zeno's. Is it Zeno Zoldyck? I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is. It's Zeno Zoldyck, right? Yeah, that's him. I thought it was. I just had to think about the name, because all I was getting was Silva, and it's like, it's not Silva, because that's the father, man. So yeah, I can't believe they got him in. That's something I wasn't expecting. Something I wasn't expecting at all. But it's such a cool way to enter, though, off the back of a dragon, and they were so high up that, like, even Neferpito couldn't really sense, because they were that high up. So they just took a massive dive. It's so cool. I'm expecting these, like, massive fucking arrows as well to be like just like a rain of bombs. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen when they hit. It's gotta be, right? But it's odd that they would use that attack when they know that they've got people with inside the walls. You know? I don't know. Because that's the thing. It's like the episode took, like, it took place over the course of like 20 seconds, so they haven't even hit the floor yet. You know? Damn. So, right, what else then? We had Zoldyck at one point, who almost became like the narrator for a second. Like, he became... It's like he was just talking to the audience. You know? And he was talking about how he actually fought the Zoldyck great-great-grandfather. I guess that would be Killwa's great-great-grandfather, right? Because it's Zeno's grandfather. So he's that old that Zoldyck is now old, and Netero is just older. He's 110 years old. Jeez. It's crazy. And it's quite clear that, like, he's nowhere near his prime. And he's just still this strong. It just reminds me of All Might from, like, My Hero. And it's like, back in his prime, it's just like, you know, no one would stop him. But he's still that strong now. It's like, oh. Damn, man. So yeah, he did. We went to the flashback and we had him sort of like in a field, going through the seasons, doing like this daily ritual where he never ate. He never ate anything. So I don't know how that works. I don't know. And and his physique like never changed. He might have got like stronger, but you know, 10,000 punches every day, and that lasted for 18 hours every day, and that's how he knew he reached his limit, because it would stop at the same time pretty much every day. And obviously when he figured out that he'd surpassed, and they quoted it as going through like a metamorphosis. So yeah, a metamorphosis like similar to a caterpillar ended up changing into a butterfly. He managed to go beyond that and ended up, you know, the sun was actually still in the sky when he finished. And yeah, so he did like the whole like Amen thing, and when as soon as he mentioned it, like I said in the reaction, like they've never mentioned any gods or anything like that. So praying to some things, like, you know, it's kind of crazy that I never thought about any of that even being in here, because they never mention anything like that. At least I don't think they have anyway. But it wasn't to any specific sort of being other than it was just a debt to his martial art. So I guess that was to just keep him in that sort of mental state so that he wouldn't leave and he would just keep doing it, you know, that sort of just motivation to just, you know, go beyond what you would think that your limit is. And then, so yeah, once he'd gotten to that point, and he'd definitely gotten stronger, he can punch faster than the speed of sound. So when he hits, the sound comes afterwards. That's quick. That's got to be the quickest thing within the show that we've ever seen then. I know we've seen, like, obviously, you know, like anime likes to do, like, obviously Killua's quick, and you see him, like, dart around and stuff. That, you know, I think that's possibly the quickest thing we've seen in the show. That's got to be, right? Has to be. Past the speed of sound. Damn. And then the last thing I want to talk about is and I don't know really how much relevance this truly has, but the guy of the guy who was like head of the sort of like the martial arts place, he said like Lady Guanyin, something like that. And what is that? Because I have no relevance to like what that is. No idea. I just thought I'd write it down because I don't know what, like, you know, if that has any relevance to anything or what, or it's just something to do with that guy that, you know, we'll just never get any answers to. But I just wanted to know, just because you know, if it has anything to do with anything, then I ask the question. If it doesn't have anything to do with anything, then oh well, whatever. But you know, I figured I would ask it anyway. But yeah, I mean, that's all I got for episode 11. So yeah, we're definitely in the thick of it. When I said at the beginning of this episode that I don't want to get to the end of this episode and it's going to be like, and now we start the mission, but like, I mean, technically it was. It still is the start of the mission, but nah, the mission's definitely begun at this point. They're in there. They're facing down Yuppie. Netero is like done pretty much nothing yet, and like he sent Neferpito like away. I don't know how far she would have went if she hadn't have been able to stop herself there. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that like I love the fact that ability, because it is tied to her tail, and that would the thing itself can't move from the position that it was summoned. So I was expecting like, oh shit, like it's going to be that powerful that our tail's going to be like, it's going to rip off. But I think it would have been something along the lines of, because that thing has to stay exactly where it's summoned, and I guess it can only obviously stay summoned as long as it's sort of attached, that it was impossible for the tail to snap off, I guess. But it still would have hurt. So, I mean, that tail is definitely like elongated a bit. If next time we see her tail and it's not like an extra like 10 meters long, I'm gonna be because that's stretched a lot. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for this episode. It was a fantastic episode, and I can't wait for the rest of the, like, to just because I just feel like I don't know how many episodes this is really going to go on for. Like, this could go on for like a train of like 10 episodes or something, you know. So I'm just excited. It's good times in Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord, so if you want to get over there you can do and join that. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday. So by the time this episode comes out for the general public, you should be able to go over, become an early access tier patron, and have access to the rest of the show in reactions. So you'll not have to wait. If you can watch the rest of this show from now until the end of the show within a month, it's only going to cost you $5, so it's a pretty good deal. And there's also full-length tier there for $10 a month. That doesn't matter for this show, but if you want it for other shows, then you will need that. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have me react to a show. So if you want me to react to a show, then go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I've got, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.